Hello, everyone. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Brad. Brad is from St. Louis in Missouri in the USA. So let's see what Brad has to say. Enjoy the interview. Hello.
Hi, William.
Hello, Bradley. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very well. Thanks so much for taking the time today for the interview. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I was so flattered that someone would bother to interview me about anything really. So I'm very happy to do it.
Oh, amazing. Thanks so much. Thanks for being kind. So how's your day going so far?
It's going good. Yeah, I took the day off to grade papers actually. So I was like, this will be a nice little break, because I do double duty. I work a full-time job, but then I also teach college level writing classes. And so, yeah, it keeps me busy, but it's an asynchronous thing. So I can do it on nights and weekends, if you will.
I
I'm going to
see.
hide self view because I'm just going to stare at my, you know how it
Yeah.
is? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to know what my expressions are. I feel like it's more genuine. So now I just see you.
Can you see you? Can you see me or just you?
No, I just want to see you because then I'll be like, oh, am I making a stupid face? You know what I mean? So I have to do hide self view because I'll be like, it makes me very self conscious.
What you're drinking, by the way?
This is Starbucks cold brew, just black.
Mm,
And I had a weird encounter with the drive. I'm not sure if you're in London, correct?
yes, I am.
So do they have drive? You don't really drive very much in London, I would imagine. Yeah,
No.
so you're just like kind of going into the store. Well, anyway, through the drive-through, you get all of these audio, potential snafus with audio. And I had one today, and the lady they're normally so nice there, but she was like, "What?" She just gave me this like, "What did you say?" And I said, venti cold brew just black, and I'm like, maybe the words just black don't register, but anyway, yeah, it's a venti cold brew just black.
I think it was the universe using her to test you,
Exactly.
to,
Yeah, and
to,
and
to see how you deal with the situation, how you would approach the situation.
yeah, for sure, it's that's a good attitude to have, for sure.
So tell me, what do you do for living, for work?
I work as a sort of I do kind of like online marketing stuff. And I work in the publishing industry, and I also am a PhD candidate in English at the Graduate Center, but I'm slowing down to a stop because I'm what they call ABD, which is all but dissertation. So my dissertation is not written yet, and I have to get on. I just gotta soldier on, but it's very hard to do when you have no one breathing down your neck to finish. Um, so I just have to snap out of it and get to it. But those are my two main things, and then I teach on the side. Um, yeah.
And now you are making me feel a bit shy talking English with you because you're gonna be correcting if I'm talking properly English. If not,
No, 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 no. No, I am not. I am not a grammar snob. I like literature. I don't. And I like talking about literature and things like that. That's why I got into it. Really, not to correct your grammar.
I think if you would correct my grammar, I'll be in trouble in the end of the interview.
Oh, William, is your native? What is your native language?
Portuguese. My first language is Portuguese.
Oh, cool. It's such a beautiful language. I always wanted to learn
Yeah.
Portuguese. Um, I liked how no sound, it's like now, is that right?
Yeah, we have this no, this sound this. I
Oh.
feel like I'm talking to my with my nose. For example, heart in Portuguese, we say coração, this in the end.
Coração. Okay.
Coração. Yeah, so we have this
Okay. Are you from Brazil? I don't mean to turn this on you, but are you Brazilian or are you Portuguese?
I'm originally from Brazil, and fun enough, I lived in Portugal 5 years before moving to London. So, but yeah, I'm originally from Brazil. Grew up in Brazil.
Cool. Okay. And then I'll stop asking you questions.
It's okay. It's okay. I just wanted to relax. Right. So tell me where you're from, Bradley.
I am from St. Louis, Missouri. That is where I live currently, which I'm originally from Peoria, Illinois, which is about the middle of it. I actually have a glass right here of Illinois. And so Illinois is like, or Peoria is like right here. It's the heart of Illinois, which I guess Illinois is sort of by, and then Chicago is up here. This is back. Yeah. Chicago. No, it's not. Chicago is up here. Yeah. Chicago's up here. And then Peoria is down here. And then St. Louis is over here, but that's not pictured, the state of Missouri. I moved here during the pandemic with my boyfriend. Well, moved here to join him. But I was living in New York for 15 years.
Wow.
So most of my adult life was spent in New York City, which, it was a change, but it was a nice change.
I see. So you've been living in Missouri for the last 4 years?
Let's see. I spent about 7 months during the pandemic, and then we moved to New York. We moved to my place in New York for a little bit, and then we bought a house here in St. Louis because that's not possible in New York City if you work in publishing and you're a teacher, because it's very, very expensive, as everyone knows. But we ended up buying a 2-family house in St. Louis, which allowed us to. I shouldn't share that I'm a landlord, but I am a landlord. Because I know that there's a whole discourse online about landlords, being evil, money grubbing, but we still work too, sometimes. But anyway, so moved here to do that, and yeah, it's been great.
And your partner is from St. Louis?
He is, yeah.
Right. So before we start our journey, William the Magic Box, I would like you to tell me something interesting about yourself.
I know a lot about astrology. I'm obsessed with astrology. That's kind of interesting.
Very interesting, and I'm glad you said that. Let's do a game between from now on until the end of the interview, okay? So from now on until the end of the interview, I'm gonna try to guess your star sign, and you're gonna try to guess my star sign, okay?
Okay.
And in the end, we kind of reveal. Let's see who is gonna get right. By the way, I don't understand much about astrology, but I'm so fascinated about astrology, but I don't understand much. But sometimes, depending the guess, I can kind of have a guess depending the conversation. So let's see. I like it. Let's do it. Okay.
Cool.
Bradley, are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and to share your point of views?
Yes, I'm ready.
Amazing. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So this is my best friend. Okay, full of random questions. I'm just going to play a song now just for us to relax a bit before the first question, okay?
Cool.
Let's do it. Right, so before we start the game, during the journey, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about for some reason, you don't want to answer, always can change, okay?
Okay.
First question for you is, what gives you butterflies?
Ooh, I would say, what gives me butterflies? A nice summer day with a pool and a nice drink, anything like that. That gives me butterflies. I can't wait for the weather to warm up. Um, I used to love winter, which then so it's extremes, right? Because winter, like the first snowfall, that gives me butterflies, like at Christmas time, that kind of thing. So they're all weather related, but I like extremes. I don't like this half weather. I like hot and cold.
And I believe that in Missouri, this is kind of the same weather in New York or not? They're quite extremely different.
It's not extremely different. No, it's still seasons, but I would say New York is more temperate. New York is by the ocean, so it gets a little bit more it gets a little bit less humidity that we have in Missouri. And the Missouri sun will just burn your skin like, because I'm really pale, so it can be very punishing. But it's more of a southern climate almost. But the winters are worse than they are in the south.
Next question. Let's do it. All right. Next question for you is, what is the silliest thing that you have posted online on social media?
Silliest?
Yeah, silliest. Yeah.
Oh, well, recently I started posting so I started doing CrossFit a year ago, and I started posting a lot of like lifts and things like that. So we do the open, which is like a test to see how you're doing. And I was posting those. That's kind of silly. Um, Silly. I don't know. I don't know if I posted them in a while, but we have this little sloth, this stuffed sloth that came from the zoo, and he has a whole personality. And he's a drag queen sloth named Slothy Nutmeg Ganache, after Silky Nutmeg Ganache from season 11 of Drag Race. And we've probably posted him before. We take him with us everywhere we go. Like he's been to Joshua Tree, he's been to New York with us. He goes everywhere. So we'll post pictures of him like up in a tree, like you know.
With social media, you are more active.
I would say Twitter is very addictive for me. I don't necessarily say a lot on it, but I sort of scroll. Instagram is the one where I probably do the most stuff. Like I post the most, mostly stories and things. Facebook is I don't know, I just had it for a long time. It's just like an old habit.
I think Facebook was one of the first one that came out, isn't it? I think everyone was into it. Facebook, I think, before then, Instagram, TikTok, all of the other platforms right now.
Yeah, well, Facebook used to be just college students, and so you had to be. It was just Harvard at first, and then they expanded it to other schools. But I was in college. Wasn't in college when it came out? I think. No, no, I was living in New York when it came out, so it was post college, but I do remember that. And the thing do you remember Friendster?
Um, it rings a bell, but I don't think I'm very familiar. But I remember it rings a bell, the name.
What I remember first being weird about Friendster was that the concept of accepting a friend was so weird to me. I was
Right.
like, that is so weird. Why do you accept it? But now that's so common. But I do have this distinct memory of being like, yeah, you have to send your friends in real life a request to prove that you're friends. I'm like, that is so bizarre to me. But now it's natural, I guess.
Next question. Let's do it. Before the next question, tell me what was the best part of waking up in New York City every single day? Tell me what did you like the most about the city? And the flip side, what's something that you found very challenging?
Ooh, the best thing about New York City is the infrastructure, the transportation, the subway, and I would ride my bike everywhere, when I couldn't, or when I had to make sure I could get someplace on time, because sometimes subways are iffy. That's the thing that I miss the most. Also, there's just so many different people coming through New York, so you're always meeting new people. I miss that for sure. And then on the flip side, the challenging thing is really the pace can be challenging. And I noticed that when I visited about a year ago, I was staying at a friend's place, and I was like, where's everyone going so fast? Like, why are you walking so fast? And I used to be the fastest walker on the sidewalk, let me tell you what. But then I just found that it's very tiring. Um, so that's probably the most challenging. And then of course the money, like it's so expensive to live. You don't have a car, and a lot of New Yorkers will say this. They're like, "Yeah, my rent's really high, but I don't have to have a car." I'm like, "Well, your rent
Yeah.
is still really high."
And all your family are back in Illinois?
They are, yeah. Well, yes, except for my sister. She moved to Florida during the pandemic.
All right. Next question for you is, this one you already talked about. Tell something interesting about yourself. I already asked you at the beginning, so let's go
Do
for
you
the
may
next.
think of another thing? Let's see.
No. You can tell me in private. I'm joking. I'm
Okay, 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 okay.
joking. Next question for you is, if you could sit down with your 13-year-old self, what would you say?
Mm, it's a very RuPaul question. It's very what would you tell little Brad? You know, I would tell him that, I mean, I definitely would say something about it's okay to be gay, you know. One of these days, the kids making fun of you, they're going to be losers, and you're going to be really cool living in New York City, and you're going to have all these friends and a cool life. And it may be a cliche, it's that Dan Savage "it gets better" thing, but that's truly what I would say. I'd be like, just hang in there. College is going to be awesome, and then it's all going to be awesome from there. So,
As you
and
mentioned
you
about,
will meet a boyfriend, because I was very like, oh, I'm going to be single my whole life. Like, I don't know. I just thought that for a long time. Maybe not at 13, but
interesting. As you said about growing up, you had let's say, a tough time being gay. Did you have the support of your family during that time, um, growing up as a gay boy? And also, the day when you came out, did something happen, or you just felt like, you know what, I'm just gonna live my true self from now on?
Well, yeah, I did have their support. They were not that family who was gonna kick me out or anything like that. But the thing is that the whole world, because I'm 40, I'm not sure how, it's different for different age people.
Mhm.
But my generation, there were gay characters on TV and stuff. But they're kind of silly, sort of not real people,
Yeah.
kind of silly characters. But the thing is that I lost my train of thought. The So people were, what were we talking about?
We talk
My goodness.
about being gay. The day when you came out, did something happen,
Oh,
or
yes. Uh-huh. Okay. So I didn't tell my parents for a long time. Like it wasn't until I was maybe 22 that I came out to my parents. And really it was just social pressure. Like I would meet friends and I'd be like out and proud and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, my parents don't know. And they're like, what? Really? Why not? Would they be mad? I'm like, probably not. And so it really was social pressure and a feeling of embarrassment that I hadn't done this very important thing, like tell my family. Um, and I think that it was when I told them, I remember it was at a Ruby Tuesday when I was visiting back from New York. And I was like, just so you know, I'm gay. And they're like, oh, well, we figured, and it's like, oh, yeah, I get it, because you can tell, right? Like with people, there's a sense that you get it. It's a survival, that you have to be able to tell. Maybe it's easier now for 22-year-old kids, or young adults, but
Yeah, and I believe as well, our parents, they know us very well. Sometimes they know ourselves better than us. You know what I mean? They know us. Even though sometimes they don't want to maybe think about it, they don't want to get into it, they just want to live on the side, but they know it. Deep inside, they know it's their child.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very well.
Yeah.
Next question. Let's do it. All right. By the way, should I call you Brad or Bradley?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I've been going by Brad. Bradley was kind of my college collegiate name, but I'm back to Brad. Now that I'm back in the Midwest, I'm Brad again.
Next question is, if you could have a superpower, what that would be and why?
Telekinesis. I've always been obsessed with being able to move objects in my mind. And I think it started when I watched Friday the 13th, part 7, where there's a telekinetic girl and she killed Jason, with her mind. I mean, of course he survived, and then there's part 8, but I always thought that was so cool, like moving objects. That's without a doubt what I would want to do.
Tell me something, Bradley. What's when you think about yourself, what is the best part of being you, in your opinion?
I am very open-minded. I do not judge other people for the people that they are. I'm a very good listener. Part of that comes from that openness. I think that's probably the best thing, because you really can't tell me something that's going to shock me and I'm going to be like, get away from me,
Sure. Ready for another one?
Sure.
Let's do it. Before the next one, what do you like the most about your job? What's the most rewarding part of it?
I would say I'm going to answer that as a teacher, because that's my favorite thing I do. I would say I really love advising students one-on-one. I'm very good at that, at getting them to explore the things that they are interested in, especially if it's a research project that they have to do. So I'm good at getting that out of people. Yeah, I would say that's the most rewarding thing, because they're always very put at ease by our meetings,
Okay. Next question is, how do you make friends?
Ooh, how do I make friends? Well, that's a very interesting question, because this age and living in a new city, it's hard to make friends. So I've made a lot of friends at the gym. I don't necessarily hang out with them too much, but I see them and we, talk, and it's spilled over into our personal lives in various ways. But I mostly just go up to, no, I wouldn't do that to random strangers. But if we're in a classroom environment or a gym environment or a work environment, I'll talk to anybody, so that's mostly how I make friends. Also social media is a good way to make friends. I've made a lot of friends that way, various places.
And being gay in St. Louis, do you feel you can be your truly self, you can express the way you are, or there is always some, you know, some place that you can go like, you know what, I'm not comfortable being myself in here.
No, I feel yeah, there you can be comfortable here for sure. Yeah. I think that there are, you know, there's a lot of queer spaces in St. Louis. The big leather bar, which was called JJ's Clubhouse, closed. That was a cool space that is missed. But for the most part, I think that the people are open-minded enough here. And I think really what it boils down to is if you're a nice person, people aren't gonna judge you in that way or be mean to you.
All right. Next question. Let's do it. Next question is, if you had only 24 hours of life, what would you do?
Well, I would just take all my clothes off and just run down the street, you know, something like that. Something like, you know, it's like, well, they're never going to see you again anyway. Just do what you want to do, you know, just like ultimate. That just to me sounds like ultimate freedom. You know, I'd go to a beach probably, you know, and then just hang out, you know. It's like Saint Francis, you know, when he was told it was the end of the world, everybody was freaking out, and he just tilled his garden. You know, he was just like, I'm okay, it's fine. So I think, you know, you got to get yourself to that state where it's the end of the world and you're okay, you know.
Dying for you is something that bothers you, or you don't think about it? It's just a consequence of life.
It doesn't bother me. No, it's a consequence of life. You know, it's harder for other people to die than for you to die, because it's like you're dead. It's over. You have to worry about.
It's the only thing that we know for sure, that one day we're gonna go, isn't it? It's
Absolutely.
The only... Yeah. Cool.
Absolutely.
Next question, Brad. Let's do it. Next question is, how would you like to be remembered in life?
I mean, I would like to be remembered as a creative person, someone who's left some kind of legacy. You know, I had an astrologer tell me that was inevitable. So I don't know what the legacy is. Like, I journal every day, but I don't really try that hard to get published and things like that. So I really would like to be remembered as a, you know, creative, kind person. Yeah, I think so. I think that sums it up.
Tell me what's when you look at Brad at 20 and you look at Brad right now at 40, tell me the difference between both, and this big similarity between both of them.
Like, what is the similarity?
Yeah, between Brad at 20, you at 20, and Brad at 40. The similarity and the biggest difference.
Oh, well, the biggest similarity is my drive and my determination. I think that's something that I've held on to. I think the biggest difference is I'm very much comfortable in my own skin. You know, that's something that comes with age. I think for most people, but particularly for me, I think that's the biggest difference. I also never worked out back then, so that's a big difference. But I would take these insanely long walks with headphones in and just like walk. But, you know.
Wait. Right, I have 3 questions left for you. Let's do it.
Okay.
For the next one, when you think about your hometown back in Illinois, what do you miss the most about your childhood or your memories in there?
Oh, um, there's some really nice parks in Peoria that I miss. That's the first thing that came to mind. Um, I miss that. Um, yeah, I think but I always growing up knew I wanted to leave, you know? So it's a hard question to answer because I don't really romanticize where I came from
Hmm.
very much. And that was the hard part about coming to St. Louis. I was like, it's too close, it's only 2.5 hours away. Like I need to go way further away. So I had it in my head that was like not okay, that I was moving so close to it. So I'm
And
kind of dodging that question a little bit, but
and why? Why do you think you didn't belong there anymore? Why is the you kind of lost the connection? What is about?
I think that it has to do with my desire to break into certain professions that are just not there. Even though now I'm a teacher, you can teach anywhere. But I think like being involved in media and in being around people who were actors on Broadway and all these kind of different things, or journalists who write for the New York Times, and all of these sorts of things, I was very starry eyed about that, even as a very young kid. Like I knew that I wanted bigger, big, 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 big. Um, Also, another thing that I was thinking about, because I figured you were going to ask something about cities versus, all that kind of stuff. I think that cities are places for loners, really. Like you can kind of keep to yourself very easily in a city, whereas in a small place, people kind of always like wondering what you're up to. That makes sense.
It does, absolutely. I think you're always on the go somehow in big cities. You know what I mean? There's always something happening. It keeps your mind busy and you get used to it. And it's just like,
Hmm.
it's about living. And for me, I feel like I live in London and I feel like it's funny because some people, I know a few people from Europe that they live in London and some of them, they complain a lot that's too fast, everything's happening too busy, as you say about working very fast. But somehow you feel like you're doing something, you are living life. I know not all the time, sometimes you want to be quiet, you want to have your own space, just be there. But for me, like personally for me, I just like it. It fits me well when waking up very early, just rushing to work or doing the gym and go back home, and there's always something happening. And sometimes when I go to back to Brazil, to visit my family, and also in Portugal, sometimes when I go to visit my friends there, which are quite smaller, Porto, where I was living, I feel like, wow, that's I feel like relaxing and having a peace time. But at the same time as well, missing my routine here in London, if you know what I mean.
Can I guess your sign?
Not yet.
No? Okay. Because I have a guess now.
I have a guess as well. I have a guess of yours as well, but let's
Ooh,
leave,
okay.
let's leave for the end.
Okay.
Next question is, what's something that you always wanted to do, but you're scared of?
Hmm. Well, the first thing that came to mind was hold a snake,
Um,
but ugh, I'm so scared of them. I'm utterly terrified. Even though like, we have these little like worm-like snakes, but I don't know. But then I'm like, do you really want to do that? I kind of don't want to do that. I don't have any interest in like skydiving, bungee jumping. Don't care.
uh-huh.
Um, too scared. I don't know. I mean, I think I'm not totally risk averse, I think that I'm okay with I mean, maybe, it would have to do with quitting my job and opening up a business, something along those lines would be something I'm too scared to do. But that something like that.
You said that now you made even more my guess about the star sign. I wasn't sure, but I think I got it. I'm getting there. I think I'm getting there.
Okay.
By the way, I don't understand anything about it. I'm just literally having a guess. Okay.
Okay.
2 questions left. Let's do it. Next question is, as a child, have you ever stole anything and how did it happen?
No, but I did one time. I remember I was in maybe 5th grade or something like that. I had for some reason, I was in my classroom after hours, and there was I don't know if it was like I used to do declamations, which was kind of like it's kind of like a acting thing. You get a script and there was a competition and you memorize the lines and stuff. But I was in my teacher's class and we noticed that there were all these tests there. So I went through and I found this one test that I totally bombed and I ripped it up and threw it out the window. And I felt guilty for like a full year about that.
I can imagine that. That's funny.
But other than that, I didn't steal anything big. Oh, well, yeah, that's more of an adult thing.
Best to keep for you, okay? You are an adult now.
Yeah, tax evasion, no. I have not cheated on my taxes, okay?
You made me remember a situation as well. Once what I did, we were having a test, yeah? And I didn't know much. I literally didn't know much about the test, and my colleague didn't know either. So she was sitting in front of me, and we were looking at the teacher because she was walking, yeah, like around the classroom. And do you know what we did? We literally swapped tests. I gave mine to her, and she gave her to me. And
she took it again for you.
No, we could. The worst part was we couldn't find a moment to put it back, to give it back, because her name was already there and my name was mine as well. So we couldn't kind of erase and put our name before. That was one of the, oh my God, it was horrible. And it was horrible to get, to put it back. And I couldn't even write down. I was so impatient because I just want to give back to her. I just want to get mine because for sure my teacher would find out if she would collect from us and would see their name there. It would be a big disaster and trouble, but we managed in the end. We did manage.
Good.
I didn't feel guilt. I felt more relieved more than anybody else. I remember.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. I mean, that's some serious stuff. But she didn't understand the test either, or she was.
Say again?
She didn't understand the test either. She was
my colleague.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. We both just want to complete each other. So I could answer the ones that she didn't know and she could write down what I did. You know what I mean? Just to help each other out.
Got it.
Yeah, that's what the thing. Oh my God.
That's a good idea though.
No, I don't think it is. Trust me, when we are there, you don't want to go through that. Oh my God, remember clearly. Oh dear. Ready for the last one?
Yeah.
Last question. Let's do it. Before the last question, Brad, as you know, being a teacher, yeah, I believe that teachers, they also learn with their students as well, yeah, like through their career. Tell me one of maybe a moment or a lesson that you've learned from any students from your career that you're never going to forget, a situation. And also, tell me, people, would you like to become a teacher? Yeah, maybe they were watching the interview. Would like to start a career as a teacher? What would be your best piece of advice?
I am trying to think. I do remember I had a student who we were reading Herman Melville's, was it Billy Budd? No, I think it was Billy Budd, maybe. And he had such a profound reading of The Ship and the way that Claggart, which is the one of the characters, was interacting with the ship. And I should not have forgotten it, but I seem to have forgotten the exact point, and it might take too long to explain. But that was something that sticks out. I think that because teaching is a very beleaguered profession. Like it's very, especially in the US, there's a lot of attacks on teachers and a lot of people who think that they know better. But I would say the biggest thing to let them know would be to remain flexible,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to kind of roll with the punches when it comes to students, and you have to kind of relax and just let things go, because teachers usually as a group of people like to have control over things, I think, or I've noticed. And you just have to kind of let the students guide the class a little bit. Of course, you have to have a program, curriculum, but you have to let your students kind of take you along the ride, take you along with them.
Who was your favorite teacher growing up?
Mrs. McCoy, my 8th grade English teacher. Yeah,
Uh,
she was great. She was so cool. She had like an outfit for every day. So everyone knew that she had, because I think maybe her husband, because there's no way she taught in like Catholic grade school. She was probably making, pennies. But her husband, I think, was kind of a big, she's since passed, but I think he was a big shot. So she's fancy, and she let us read Edgar Allan Poe, and like one time she wanted to have us read Stephen King, and this was like a Catholic school, so this is pretty racy stuff for us, but she and I got along so well, and she's very inspirational.
okay. Last question for you is, what was your best friend's name growing up? And why did you consider this person as your best friend at the time?
Growing up in grade school, his name was Patrick, and he lived down the street, and we just did everything together. You know, we both really liked horror movies, so we would watch horror movies. So I think me a little bit more than him. He was a little bit more of an action movie guy. He ended up being straight. He has a very cool family, and then I ended up being gay. And you know how we are with horror movies, like there's a thing, right? But yeah, he was more of the Rambo kind of.
Do we have a thing? I don't know. Joking.
Totally, gay men love horror movies. I have so many gay friends that love horror.
I like trailers.
Trailers?
But I'm always the one jumping. Always the one like, oh, this, like, there's this movie. I'm always, my friends, they laugh so much because I cannot control myself. I'm always like, I need to touch something. I need to be holding something when I'm watching those movies, because I know when the silence starts, something's going to happen. I know it. It's just like, that's when I close my eyes. That's when I go like, just happen. Just do it, something, because that's, the expectation wait, it's horrible.
Yeah, but that's the best part,
Right, it's not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game. I'm going to give away some words, just one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking, okay?
Okay.
So, I hope you are enjoying the interview. Before we do the word association game, don't forget to give a like, don't forget to share this video, and also don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Just click on the button right there. Thank you so much and enjoy the word association game.
Okay.
Let's start with family.
Comfort.
Money.
Great. I mean, who doesn't like money? You're a liar if you say you don't like money, or that it's evil or whatever. It's like, well, okay.
Love.
Warm.
How about life?
Happiness is the first word.
Sex.
Always on my mind.
Mm. Politics.
Boring.
Religion.
Social.
Fear.
Fear. Fun. Let's see. I would say clammy.
Friendship.
A base. It's like your
Desire.
always there.
I thought you said always in the line, like for sex.
Well, desire literally means something you don't have. So
Uh-huh.
you're never going to stop desiring things. And this is what people like. If I could impart this on your listeners, like you're always going to be desiring something.
I think it's healthy to desire something. It keeps you moving, it keeps you going. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But it's crucial to know that it's never going to be satisfied.
Good point, actually. I like that. Regret.
Immediately, My Way by Frank Sinatra started playing in my head. Regrets, I've had a few. I've had a few.
All of us have some. Success.
That movie with The Secret of My Success with Michael J. Fox popped into my mind, but I think that it's subjective.
Wish.
Wish. I think of the Wish bear that I had as a kid, the Care Bear.
Oh, sweet. Do you still have
He had
it?
a star. No, I don't. Well, actually, he might be in at my parents' house.
By the way,
I'm not sure.
Just a question, Brad. Do you always had long beard?
Oh yeah, as soon as I could grow it, I was like, "This is it." I'm not kidding. Like and now it's kind of the default look for men. I mean, a lot of them are doing the mustache. I'm not brave. Oh, see, that's what I fear. I fear shaving this off and then just having a mustache. Like I would love to try that, but I'm like, I don't know if I can do it. But yeah, I've had it for a while, since college.
Happiness.
It is happiness is it's in moments. It's not a state of being.
One word for Illinois.
Corn.
Cornfields.
Somebody
told me corn from the US, actually, when I said, I think it was
Iowa.
Yes. Iowa.
That's probably more appropriate for Iowa than Illinois. Illinois is a lot of soybeans. But yeah, from here to Peoria, the drive is flat, just soybeans, I think, but also cornfields.
That's why you are wearing yellow.
Yes. It's my power color, like corn.
One word for New York City.
Exciting.
One word for St. Louis.
Homey. Like home, it's like homey.
And do you feel like living there for a long while?
No, I want to go west.
Okay. Go west.
Go west. Go west. Is that Pet Shop Boys song?
Yes.
Yeah. They're so good. They're a good band.
One word for USA.
Hot mess. But I love it though. I'm very, I'm not one of those critics who I'm only supposed to say one word. I'm sorry. Go. Yeah.
Okay, it's okay. Last one now. Teaching. One word.
Rewarding.
Amazing. let's pretend now I'm going to meet your boyfriend for a coffee, yeah? And I'm going to ask him, what is the most beautiful thing about Brad, and what's something that he still needs to work on, to improve on? What he would say?
I think that he what would he say is his favorite thing about me. I think he thinks I'm funny. Yeah, amusing. What do I need to work on? My skills or my patience.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what I think he would say. Because I was gonna say my skills at like, fixing stuff and because he's really good at that. And I'm like, ugh, I don't have the patience. That's what I would say.
Okay. Let's play now, Vlad and the Magic Box, and you can ask me a question. But before you ask the question, let's see if we guess each other's star sign. Right, you are my guests. You can go first.
You are a Gemini.
No,
you're not?
I'm
No?
not. No.
Oh man. Okay. Aries?
Okay. Before,
Aries?
no.
All right. I'm terrible at this. Tell me more about your mother. No.
Right. So I'm gonna try to guess yours, and after we reveal it. Okay. So, okay, I'm gonna go for Towers.
Oh, no. Close in some way.
Let me say Leo.
No, but that's what I thought you were going to say. Because when you said that thing about me opening my own business, it's like, oh, he wants to be the boss. And that's very Leo.
No, but you know what I thought when you said about when you say about about your journey, think that teaching with your students. I don't know. There was something there about Taurus because I have a friend of mine. He's Taurus, and I could picture something. Anyway, we both went wrong. But okay, so I'm Scorpio.
Oh, you're a Scorpio. Okay. Okay. See, the reason why I said Gemini is because of the volume, your channel. There's this very large volume of people, but which is very Gemini. And also, you were saying something about the way you described living in London and the things you liked about it were felt very, very social butterfly, kind of like I like to, that was sort of why I was thinking that.
What is yours?
I'm a Virgo.
Oh my God! Wow, interesting.
I know. We're well, actually, Scorpio might be the most infamous sign of the zodiac, but Virgo, people usually have opinions about Virgo.
Right, Brad, you can ask me a question now.
My question has to do with London. My question is, how do you maintain your sunny disposition in such a gloomy place? Unless it's not gloomy. But that's sort of my question, yeah.
I love your question. The funny thing about, people, they have this impression about London being gray, raining, which is true, Actually, it's raining. It's not raining right now, but it's it's gray. Like it's even evening already. But it's I totally understand. I understand about that, and I understand as well that weather can change our moods. Yeah, can change our days and way of approaching things and behaving this and that. But fun enough, I'm gonna tell you something now. The weather never been a problem for me. Never. I actually, when I see people in the beginning when I arrived in London, I remember it's like it's a conversation topic. Yeah, people start a conversation talk about the weather. It's always, and I always felt like, my goodness, but I don't see that. And it's gray. It's, let's say, miserable, as people say, but it never affects my, let's say, my personality or my mood. Never. Never. It's so interesting because for me, never kind of made any impact in my daily, life or doing something. But I understand. I totally understand that sometimes when the weather can affect you, it can, absolutely can. But and I'm sure it can affect me as well. I'm not saying that never affected me. It has, but not like in a long proportion, or you know what I mean. It didn't change my mood drastically because of the weather, because it's raining or it's gray or it's not sun. You know what I mean? It never, for me, never been a
Mhm.
big deal. Never been a big deal. And of course, it has. If I had something planned and it was raining, or something that I was expecting to happen, of course, it did affect me. But on my daily basis, it's something that's never been, something that will change my moods. That was your question, yeah?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. That's
But I
great.
totally understand, and I'm not saying that it's wrong or right, but I totally understand when people, because we are affected by weather or the thing around us. I understand that, but personally, for me, so far, I've been in London for actually most of my life, actually, because I left Brazil when I was 19, so I've been for a long while, and for me, I must say that. It never affected me like the weather, and I always was trying to understand why. And I get it. I get it. When you are, alone or something, it's raining outside, it's gray. Of course, it can get you somehow. But personally, for me, it never kind of be a big, something that made me sad or melancholic or lonely because of the weather. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I visited Seattle for the first time last August, and the weather was actually beautiful. It was sunny and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not sure what that is Celsius, but I asked that question of them because it's a similar climate in Seattle to
Mhm.
London, and I was like, "How do you do?" And they're like, "Actually, no, we love living here because of the weather." And I was like, really? I wasn't expecting anyone to say that. I was
Yeah.
expecting everyone to say, this city is awesome in spite of the weather. That's what but I didn't hear anyone say that.
But you hear
So,
you hear a lot in London people saying that. Even the English, English people, they moan a lot about the weather. They do. They
yeah,
know, they don't, If you come, have you been in London before, by the way, or not?
I have. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool. I was with my parents and my brother and sister. So it was a different kind of thing. I would love to go as an adult.
Yeah.
It was when I was in college because did a study abroad in Paris and then went to London over the channel and for like a week. And it was great.
Right. Oh
Yeah.
wow, so you lived in Paris before.
Yeah. Just 3 months, but
Or do you still can you speak French, or do you remember any like words that you kind of liked it?
oh, speaking, no. I can understand it when I hear other people speaking, but making my own words,
See.
sipinala.
There we go.
I don't even know if I said that right. It's not there.
Oh. Brad, did you enjoy the interview?
Yes, I did very much. Yeah, it was
Thanks.
fun.
Thank you for taking the time. Thanks for being kind and sweet, and for to accept my invitation. It was a pleasure talking to you. But before you go, if you can share a positive message or something that you live by.
Yes. So this is this is a little bit of gallows humor, which I'm sure, you being in England are familiar with this, but this is from the poet James Broughton, who his dates were like 1920 something, and then he died in 1999. So he's, kind of San Francisco Renaissance, maybe a little later, but I absolutely love this little haiku thing that he wrote. Um, so it goes like this. I may be infecting the whole body, said the head, but they'll never amputate me.
Hmm. Interesting.
To me, that's very, I just love, I love I don't know, it just always resonated with me. Like, the head, it's like the head is the ruler of everything. because you can't get rid of it. And I like how physical the metaphor is. And so I don't know. It just gives me chills. I don't know why, but
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time for the interview, and we keep in touch, okay? It was a pleasure. Regards to your partner, okay?
thank you. All right. Thank you so much, William.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right.
So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website, www.williamandthemagicbox.com, and send us a request saying why you'd like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye, see you next time.